Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Good evening, my fellow Kenyans and friends. Welcome to the Prudential Shows, which was found in the ground of being open-minded in making of a world-class, law-abiding, peaceful, and humanitarian Kenyans. Our mission is simple. Be prudent, act with or show care, and thought for the future. The true agony and outcry of a NASA or a Jubilee supporter in Kenya, even an independent mwananchi, is by all means the same, Mr. President Uhuru Kenyatta. What Africa, what Kenya need to overcome, be it socio, economic, judicial, and political injustice, is to demand for a reformed kind of democracy that focus on uplifting the life of our houses, communities, villages, wards, constituencies, counties, and the nation at large. Kenyan collectively must create a vacuum where each and every one of us will find pride in shaping our national, socio-economic, judicial, and political aspect. Our fight to participate in government must not be shaped by our tribal orientation, but rather our analysis and perception of the kind of houses, water and sewage system, toilets, or rather better sanitation, access road to main road and highway, creation of employment, and others alike. Well, Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga has for a long time been perceived by one-third to less than half of the nation as a leader who have fought for democracy for far too long. But what exactly is his cry? His mission, that is. When is the last time I've heard him demanding for better sanitation for residents of Kibra, Kondele, Rarienda, Nyali, and so on? Is he fighting the same kind of democracy that had purpose that was fought by likes of the late Kijana Amolo, the late his father Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Kenneth Matiba, Martin Shikuku, Masinda Muliro, Philip Gashoka, Salim Mohammed, George Ndenge, and others? Is his mission to defeat and humiliate the political dominance of Gema and Kalenjin leaders and all our communities with violence and civil disobedience? Is he employing political game plan and all schemes with inputs, resources, and activities of lawyers, businessmen and women, and international experts such as likes of James Orengo, Jimmy Wanjigi, and others? Is he determined to enforce power of the minority over the majority with no recourse, all-inclusive manifesto that seek to improve life of all Kenyans alike? Is he determined to take away what he claimed the majority have stolen and redistributed to those that he claimed are the minority without arbitration? Is he determined to seize progress in two-thirds of the counties and shift focus on one-third of the counties that have so far refused to accept Jubilee partnership? Is he ready to engage in a kind of political rebellion that Martin Luther King Jr. had long advocated for? One that involved non-violent. One that educated his supporters to cease from throwing stones to the police officers, stealing or looting from innocent Kenyans, cursing, bullying, and or abusing those who refuse to join them in strike, putting roadblock on major roads, hence interfering with the affairs of the city with no recourse. Contrary to Raila and NASA manifesto, maandamano, whatever you may call it, is the Jubilee government then determined to completely silence Raila Amolo Odinga and one-third of the nation without bearing in mind that their long-term grievances and outcry is never far from that of the two-third, as the Jubilee side, that is. Villages surrounding Kiabu areas, especially those within the president backyard of Gatundu are just the same as those of Kibra, and even the place I was born, Kondele in Kisumu area. Poor sanitation, poor condition of toilet is just not acceptable. And for over 50 years, we still live in a country where a simple basic need, such as a toilet, to over 70% of Kenyans is a total joke. Not necessarily hard to afford, but they lack a collective civic education, policies, and regulation that facilitate the requirement of such amenities. We pride ourselves of how our kids have laptop to study. SGR that over 70% of Kenyans themselves never get to use. And yet no key members of parliament representing millions of Kenya can collectively table a bill that can finally better the life of every common mwananchi. Kenya is a country that was found first by British colony, but not through the people or communities' memorandum of understanding, and currently it is in a blink of political, social, and financial fallout. When the white man came to Kenya, he occupied the land about Kenya and Rift Valley area, Central Province and Rift Valley region as we know of today. He made these two key areas, including the coastal region, his favorite place to settle. And life of these areas, the significance of Kikuyu, Meru, Embu, Kalenjin, Mijikenda, and a few other communities were shaken to a point of no remedy and or recovery up to today. With full support of the Queen of England, herself and the rule of appointed governor from England, who oversaw the larger East African region, including areas such as Uganda, Tanzania, and others, the city on the Sun, Nairobi, Nakuru, and Mombasa were built, and even Kisumu. A blueprint of how every corner of Kenya must mimic was found, yet the mind to see it through were botched, and instead smeared by individualistic rule with selfish gain, and ineffectual with no regard to modernization of dark culture, largely encasing Kenyan even to this very day. No wonder the root of corruption, unemployment, and of course insecurity remain a mystery to even those who think they have the whole keys to Kenya's issues. It is true to claim that there are those who are forced to part with their ancestral lands. Made slaves, their lifestyles were distracted, culture and religion practice interrupted, and and a new life exposed. They witnessed firsthand the Mzungu far modernized and civilized lifestyle miserable to today's standard. Apart from advanced presence of internet, computer, TV, and cell phones. Kenyans having faced tough time, especially gamer communities who championed Mau Mau rebellion gained its independence, and Kenyatta, our founding father, was crowned the first president. Kenyatta having configured and conceptualized the kind of governance the 8 provinces of Kenya, including Central, Nyanza, Western, Eastern, name them, wanted, and probably having no clue of the indifferences between various communities, failed to understand that one common factor that would have world togetherness in Kenya was democracy that entitled each Kenya to right of uplifting their life, their health, state of housing, and better cities across the nation. As a matter of fact, there are those within Nyanza, Western, and Northeastern only came to understand the limit and extent of Kenyan government in early 2000. There are those even to this very day, including in Central Province area, have no clue of the role of a member of parliament, leave alone the president of Kenya. To them, they are Kikuyus, they are Luos, they are Kambas, they are Kalenjins, they are their tribe. They are who they are based on their village existence, taboo and culture. Yet the rule of law, the might of the Constitution of Kenya, which was promulgated on 2010, is still considered sentimental to their existence and pertinent to their communities at large. Over two-thirds of the nation's citizens are not patriotic to the rule of law. No, they're not. An establishment of the 2010 Constitution had no background of civic education and public participation that ought to have been navigated in its deliberation and implementation exercise. Hence, do we still call ourselves a republic because we are no longer under the Queen crown, yet the effect and influence of what discovered and disenfranchised our peaceful layout of pre-colonial villages and settlements were never dealt with, but rather overtaken by a new set of living that seemed to evolve from diaspora influence and activities worldwide? Is the Constitution as it stands today lack no direction that can lead us as Kenyans to a democracy and existence as a nation? I believe the current president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, understands history and he knows his legacy is only one, is to tap into his father's legacy, who many remember as a great moderator and orator. Eventually, Uhuru must open up his mind beyond his comfort zone and particulars and see the limit of Kenya beyond the State House, beyond Nairobi. Understand the significance of upgrading and modernizing the impoverished cities, villages, and homes that have scaled down for a generation the might and impact of Kenya in Africa and the world at large. As he gets it done, as he sees it through, his modeling, deliberation, and execution of his Jubilee manifesto must start from the bottom to the top. Kenya borrowed its layout of provincial map from US and made it its own, yet the core of a country, that is, or rather a state, as it's called here in US, is to make sure the houses occupied by its subject have basic amenities. That is, better houses to sustain rain and its effects. Houses with not just electricity, as they claim today, but healthy sanitation, with toilets, water and sewage system, better access to main highway. These fundamental rights of every Kenyan and their villages and our county wards need not just be met by honest, but also sustained from generation to generation. The engine that drives economy is mainly rooted to establishment of better housing and urban act. And it's evident here in Tacoma, where I'm based, in Washington state and in US at large. Federal government and reserves, major financial institutions and key corporations ride on this key factor that act as a foundation of American economy and influence worldwide. That is why George Bush, when US was going through economic turmoil, and even President Obama on his first year had to give money to the families to help boost the American economy. He might have indebted the U.S. today or increased the debt of the U.S., but it somehow helped. The Jubilee manifesto have better impact than that of NASA. Uhuru and Ruto must make it personal and champion Parliament to pass a bill, such a bill that will improve the life of Kenyan housing condition and is surrounding with parks of union and job creation to cater for close to 70% of sleeping or ignored Kenyan nationwide. My president will have my ultimate support. This is a kind of dialogue. You must make it public to a call of mass action, democracy, maandamano, or whatever you may call it today, advocated by Raila in an adversary board. Are you interested in making sure there will be no election? There will be election come October 26th, Mr. President. Are you sure? Are you determined there will be election in October 26th on Tuesday as we rise up and see the sun? If you're determined, and it must so happen, if you're determined, and it must so happen, I must say, then it must happen with peace and in fair and free election. Reshape your manifesto. Make it clear that your hope for all Kenyans is sentimental and legacy to make true the role of your father as the president of Kenya must shape up, and life of every Kenya must matter for them to honor and appreciate the significance of the current constitution as it stands. The enforcement of the rule of law by the police as it demands. The exercise of every mwananchi to be patriotic to Kenya we all want is under your guidance. And leadership as the chosen leader of Kenya. That is. There is still time to save Kenya. And this time around, though we must pray, as you said this early when you gave the speech in the morning, that was yesterday back in Kenya time. As God is sovereign of our existence and that of our nation, action and dialogue with purpose, ideas and vision that we must pursue, that you must pursue. The message must be clear. Direct the parliament to make true this dream of mine, of yours, of trade men and women across the nation, of your father and of those who came before us. Yet their conceptualization of matters of life were never tested much as how mine or yours have been. You have my support, and I'm ready to make it complete such a bill, including dynamics of how it can be financed and be implemented from ward to ward, county to county, and nationwide. May God bless our beloved nation Kenya. Thanks for tuning in and listening to the Prudential, listening to me as I voice my concern here in the Prudential Show. Please remember to share, and thank you, and may God truly bless you. Thank you, and I really appreciate it. Remember to share.